So good morning, everyone. My name's Irene Church. I'll be your moderator this morning, and I would like to introduce our dream team for our Building the Ultimate Customer Dream Team. First is Deb Lyzenga from the Michigan Department of LEO. She's a service sectors manager for the state of Michigan. Her regional workforce experience spearheaded state-level projects that promote employer collaborations, talent pipeline development strategies to help attain, retain, and develop talent in high-growth, high-wage industries. She was instrumental in the development of My Career Quest, a statewide initiative, experimental student career event with the development of non-traditional apprenticeship program in healthcare and information technology. She is a Talent Pipeline Management Academy Fellow at the U.S. Chamber Foundation, has a Bachelor of Science degree from Oklahoma State University, and an MPA from Grand Valley State University. Deb Majeski is from DTE Energy. She is an accomplished and results-oriented business management professional demonstrating a proven track record in the electric and gas utilities industry, meeting corporate goals with key skills in the following areas: successful revenue generation through cost-effective process improvements, team leadership, strategic and tactical planning, innovative service delivery, effective communication, relationship building, demonstrated ethical practices in both utilities and community relationships, and a proven leader in the learning training sector. She is also an expert in process owner of the development of Henry Ford's apprenticeship readiness program called Power Trades Pathways. And finally, Karen Wilson Anderson from DTE Energy also is the principal of Anderson Workforce Solutions Consulting and has more than 20 years of workforce development experience working with industry, education, and community partners on employment and training programs and initiative. AWSC is focused on delivering analytical planning, facilitation, and project management services to leading organizations and partners. An innovative and results-driven leader, Karen is focused on continuous improvement and specializes in project management services. Wilson Anderson earned a Master of Science Administration with a focus on public administration from Central Michigan University, and a Bachelor of Science in Human Ecology and a focus on Family Community Services from Michigan State University. So ladies, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Irene. And Karen, if we could pull our slides up. And then while you're doing that, Karen, I'll apologize just right up front. I was not able to join with my camera. I'm having some technical difficulties, but so please forgive me for that. But my audio is working, so I'm all happy about that. And so, Karen, I'm not seeing our PowerPoint oh, there it is. Never mind, I just had to expand my screen. User issue. Okay. So, Karen, if you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we want to talk about the why of this. And I'm going to do a little history lesson for everyone. Bear with me. But if you all remember back in 2012, there was a growing number of employers and hiring managers that reported difficulty filling jobs due to the lack of available skilled talent. And back then, they called the idea the skills gap. And I don't know if everybody remembers that. It seems like it's a common word now, but back then that was relatively new. And the idea was that there was a skills gap occurring between those available for work, but they didn't have the required skills to be successful in the job. So here it is, almost 10 years later, and 78% of hiring managers say the skill gap persists across industries. It hasn't gotten better. Employers need a talent strategy which will help them clearly communicate their most critical job needs to their partners in education. So the other why of this is upskilling and reskilling is no longer just an option. in our efforts of employers to build a skilled workforce. And so over the next few slides, I'm going to briefly walk through the talent pipeline management approach to build external pipelines, as well as develop long-term strategies for effectively building a workforce through backfilling, upskilling, reskilling, and career pathway development and succession planning. If you could go to the next slide, please. So our approach at the state of Michigan, we have adopted the talent pipeline management strategies. The other thing that we have adopted, of course, being the manager of sector strategies, we know that the number one advantage for employers is that when they come together, what we call an employer collaborative, they can work more effectively together to address critical workforce needs than working alone. They can do it more efficiently, it costs less, and our educational and workforce systems can align their resources and their marketing and their recruitment. So it's just critical that employers come together in groups within an industry, again, what we call an employer collaborative. And I'm sure many of you have heard that word, and I don't know how many of you, I've certainly heard from my education partners that just if employers would tell us what they need, we could develop the curriculum. Part one. Part two is they have to produce enough people so that we make it cost effective for our community colleges and universities. So we have to fill those seats, not only one semester, but ongoing. So those are two primary things that we have adopted at the state and certainly are going to be showcased in this presentation. So the next slide, please. So talent pipeline management is a way of thinking, an orientation toward employer-led education and workforce partnerships in which employers are much more than just advisors. Instead, they are the end customers of the talent supply chain. However, this does not mean that employers are the only customers. It means that employers provide a framework for how to get organized so that we can better partner with education and training providers. So this framework is built on industry best practices. It's driven by employer-led collaboratives. It generates actionable data and employer demand so that educators don't have to guess. Am I developing curriculum for welders, or am I developing curriculum for robotics? What is more important? I can't do everything. I can't boil the ocean. So this is an approach that allows our educators and workforce to really focus in on really what the employer needs. And the structure provides a collective action and decision making with the entire collective. So not only with employers, but workforce again, and education. And as I said, it pulls everyone together and it creates a shared value, competitiveness, and accountability. So employers are working together in what we call co-opetition, where all the employers succeed in this. And so they have to sometimes share information that they wouldn't normally do. But what they have found in the long run, that the sharing of information benefits each one of them collectively. And while TPM focuses on employer ROI, in the long run, it provides a career pathway for the individual worker, leading to increased skill attainment, promotion, and increased wages. Next slide, please. So here are the steps, and it's a little small, but there are 6 strategies involved in the talent pipeline management framework. And we organize the employers. This is usually, and we'll just kind of I'm going to briefly go through this, but this usually takes about 6 months. For this example, it took about 6 months. But organize the employer leadership within the collaborative. We project the critical job demand. I said a little bit earlier is that you can't boil the ocean. We need to know what occupations are most important and the most difficult to fill for employers. And then we align and communicate job requirements. What are those skills and competencies that are needed? Then we analyze the talent supply. Where are we getting our best workers from? And the employers help us to do that. Is it from one particular training employer or training provider? Is it from a high school? Is it from a CTE? But we get that granular to identify where that supply chain is coming from. And then we build those talent supply chains by bringing in more training providers and sharing information that is critical for building curriculum and building that supply chain. And then the last piece of it in strategy 6 is we really want to build that continuous improvement. And you see it's 6 months, 3 months, and 3 months in order to do this process effectively. So I went through this really briefly because I want to turn it now over to Deborah Majeski from DTE, who is going to take you through each of these steps in a real world example of how DTE used the talent pipeline management strategies in a very effective way. Deb?
Thank you, Deb. I really, truly appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. It truly is a pleasure to share with you today the progress of this innovative collaborative that is focused on addressing workforce talent challenges and identifying solutions to meet our employers' needs in this customer service job role. And we're focused on Southeastern Michigan. I did have the pleasure of becoming a practitioner. I was able to participate in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Talent Pipeline Management Academy in 2020. And so it really was an awesome experience, and one I would highly recommend to all of you that are on the call today, because it is a training opportunity that really helps you execute a project, but not only execute it, you're doing it in a very collaborative way, and you're building it to be sustainable. And most often we have a lot of projects that we can implement, but then they're hard to sustain. And this here, the toolkits, the process that you can obtain from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is really going to be that fundamental need that you need to have success with a large collaborative such as this. So this project is going to just give you a brief overview of our progress to date. Back in 2020, the workforce development team proposed a utility-led effort to our Detroit chief procurement officers that are associated with DT Energy. And we came to them and we said, we have this opportunity. We had this committee of people, and we said, we have a problem I think we have in the industry, and we have a solution that we want to work towards together. And so by doing that, we wanted to make sure that we were building this picture, right? Building this picture that was going to help work in all the industries that represented automotive and hospitality and healthcare and financial, and even some of our suppliers in each one of these companies. So that was one of our key areas that we wanted to focus on. And so they said yes. When we came to them and we said, customer service is one of the largest occupation groups in Michigan in terms of employment and job openings. And then we identified what that opening positions were for 16 counties. And we said, we feel that this is an area of focus. If we all come together, we can help identify the demand, what the pain points are, what the solutions need to be as a collaborative, because customer service is such a huge driving factor within the state of Michigan. And so with that, you can see here is just some of the background in regards to how we standardized ourselves, right? We said this collaborative will help support standardized training and result in transferable skills among multiple industries. So it wasn't just a lens for DTE, right? We have a call center, and we have a large call center, 3 of them actually across the state of Michigan. But when we're trying to fill our empty spots, our job postings, and then you have GM or Ford in the automotive industry trying to do the exact same thing, or you have hospitality, right, where you've got the casinos, or you have Rock Central and others that are trying to do this, we have to make sure that we're building the talent pipeline for the future. So you have ready now, right? People that are ready now to get the jobs, but also we need to focus on the future and how do we do that. And so doing this collaborative allowed us that opportunity to prepare ourselves. So if we go to the next slide, Karen, it's going to show for us that picture of who is with us, right? We approach this collaborative, and this collaborative is with, we're with the city of Detroit, we're with Henry Ford Health Systems, GM, we got Blue Cross Blue Shield, Strategic Staffing Solutions, Call, MGM Casino, and you look at Henry Ford Health Systems, Ford Motor, we've got a lot of partners who said, yes, we have the same need. We have customer service demand. We are filling positions constantly throughout the year. We want to come on board and we want to work on a solution together. And what does that mean? So getting organized, right? As an employer collaboration, we're trying to get organized to where we are building a solution that can go into the community. We can be a really good force for good in the community, but we can also make sure that we have something that's sustainable. We had to do our homework, right? We had to engage with all of them on the demand planning. We had to conduct competency and credential requirements, which we're going to talk about, and then we had to implement a solution that really is kind of tying us to that talent supply chains. When you go to the next slide shows us actually additional. So Rock Central was one of our key partners. Rock Central got so excited about this opportunity that we started to work towards. They said that they wanted to take all their sub-partners and bring them on board. So now we have all of these other partners that they have under their umbrella now also wanting to source from this same talent pool of the solution that we're trying to build for our region, right? And then we'll multiply that. We have others that are now interested in joining this collaborative. We are also trying to seek some other big players such as Comcast and Google, but there's conversations underway right now. So the goal is to really build this collaborative so it's meeting everyone's needs, and then we can get a better understanding of what that demand is going to be on a region basis. So if we go to the next slide is pretty detailed. And I want to just spend a little bit of time on this slide. One of the most important functions of an employer collaborative as an end customer is the talent supply chain and clearly understanding and communicating the projected number of job openings, right? We need to understand, what are we working towards? How big is that demand, right? And so the tools that the Talent Pipeline Management Toolkit provides is it gives us a demand survey toolkit tool to use. This survey is already set up for us to just plug in some key information that's relative to the collaborative. And so we started there. And when we look on the far left in the blue, it represents the job role titles. So every company's title is different, right? You have a contact center advocates, you have a clinic service representative. So when you look at all those different titles, that still is a role that's touching that customer first in many cases. You want that impression to be lasting, and you want it to be extremely positive for whatever concern someone is calling upon, right, into that company. So we used all of those critical job roles to help us understand, what were their competencies, what were their needs, right? And then we went and looked at real-time data. We looked at the demand data. And so through this opportunity, which I will also mention was launched during the pandemic, right? We launched this last year on the heels of the pandemic. We were underway, but the whole collaborative said, yes, we want to focus still on this. And so we said, well, let's just do an 18-month survey. Let's just see, because we don't know what the future will bring, right? Many of these people were located in office buildings, and then they converted to working from their homes. So we took and looked at what the 18-month out forecast was, and it was like 12,000 job opportunities just with this collaborative alone. And then 60% of the collaborative members are value in customer service credentials. So when we looked at that and we asked them, what kind of credentials do you want for your person? This was key for them, customer service. And then we asked them what was the desired competencies, what were the preferred employability skills. And we collected a number of areas of information that helped us really build what the model is going to be for the future. And then when we looked at the state information, and Deb Lyzenga was very instrumental in helping us get information, and we learned that this is the 6th largest occupation in the state until 2028. So when we heard that, and we know that there's such a pull, because this is just some of the key industries, this isn't all the industries, we said, this is a project we want to focus on. We want to make a difference in the state of Michigan. We want to make a difference here in Southeastern Michigan and with these particular companies. And so we want to make sure that we're helping fill those over 12,000 annual openings that are going to be prominent here for Michigan. So, collaborative needs to focus on quantity, location, time, and quality, right? And so as a collaborative, we pulled ourselves together and we then built the next picture, the next slide, which talks about what it is. We went and looked at what those pain points were, right? Strategy 3 aligns to communicate job requirements. And so understanding what is the right applicant, who do you really want to hire? Why do you want to hire them, right? Our second survey was identifying those pain points for the collaborative. When we did that, we were able to understand, some of the key areas, right? Maintaining positive customer relations, identifying customers' needs, being able to diagnose or resolve customers' problems, when they're on the call with us, understand the importance of the attitude. So when we looked at the competency survey, we got key information. Then we went to employability skills for those pain points. And that demonstrated the sensitivity and the empathy that's needed, right? We also wanted to make sure that we had pleasant and courteous professional skills, right, with every individual. So we wanted to make sure that they're maintaining positive attitude and recognizing and interpreting verbal, nonverbal behaviors. So there's a whole number of area of information we were able to collect in those two areas through that competency survey, right, and the employability skills. And so with that, we created this model. And this model is called the Customer Service Competency Framework Model. And this starts out with, having these tiers. And these tiers are representing areas of interest for every single one of our collaborative members. We want to have personal effectiveness. And what does that include? Each one of those small boxes in the purple represent skills needed. Second is the academic competencies, listening, critical, analytical thinking. All of those in the green are critical to every one of our companies in this collaborative. The third is workplace competencies, right? Making sure we understand that blue section, the business fundamentals, teamwork, decision-making, all of those are truly fundamental in order to drive success and sustainability with our candidate pools or those talent pools that we're trying to build. And then tier 4, which is the specific troubleshooting, conflict resolution, key training needed for every individual who is interacting with a customer. And then finally, of course, the 5th is the occupations. This is serving, and it's serving the healthcare, the insurance, the hospitality, the utility, and the automotive. So, our goal at the very beginning was, knowing that we had to fill a whole lot of positions. But the filling of the positions is really not the problem we're trying to solve. The problem we're trying to solve is retaining the talent. So they're not jumping from one company to the next. And so our thinking here is if we can really help build this talent pool of skilled individuals, and then they're making this investment in them, we're going to be able to then see that they're going to come into our companies, and then they're going to be able to progress, and they're going to see that progressionary opportunity once they get past their probationary period. So we created this model, and then this model had learning outcomes. So every one of those boxes in this pyramid has learning outcomes that us as a collaborative created. That was the fundamental work that it was necessary for us to define what training now is needed, right? We need to do this homework first, and then go shopping, basically, or go looking or develop the training that aligns with this customer service competency framework. So with that, I know I've talked pretty fast and there's a lot of information here, but now I want to turn it over to Karen, because she's then going to share with you who we partnered with and what it involves. Karen?
Thank you, Deborah. So part of strategy 4, before we really could make the decision in understanding who our training provider was, we also wanted to analyze where the talent's coming from currently for all of our collaborative members. So we asked our employers to kind of fill out what we had a survey that they filled out, and they identified the most recent hires, which they had 3,737 recent hires, and what was their prior education. Because we wanted to see, our assumption was that most of the education was going to come from high school. Well, as you can see, that
I think we're losing Karen.
Oh,
There we are. I can
do
hear
you
you.
hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Love technology. So majority of our candidates we understood is they came from post-secondary education. So when we talked to the collaborative to try to have a better understanding, because most of the requirements for these jobs do not require post-secondary education, that they had an understanding that majority of their candidates have a higher level education than anticipated, because they were anticipating that this is just kind of an entry level into their company and potentially career into something more into leadership within customer service or into other leadership roles within the company. So as you can see, we had a majority of them. We only had about 585 come from high schools, but the remaining of the recent hires were all coming from post-secondary. So we looked to see where can we identify our training provider. So when we met with our collaborative, we researched several different training partners out there and kind of did an alignment with our competency model. It took a couple months back and forth with the collaborative to look at the research, understand, and what we identified was Henry Ford College had a customer service professional certificate of achievement that aligned with our competency model. We did make a few adjustments because, as you know, that now with COVID, we've had to kind of shift, and a lot of the employment opportunities in customer service are virtual. So we want to make sure that this program was also flexible to kind of open up the candidate pool, not just for Southeast Michigan, but across the state and maybe in other states. So we made sure that this program become flexible, asynchronous, 100% online, but there is also options for synchronous, which would be online live with an instructor, and they still are offering face-to-face classes. We also wanted to make sure that this program was developed in an accelerated program. So we have worked with Henry Ford College to build this program that used to be, because it's 17 college credits. So we worked with the program to condense it down to one semester or 2 8-week terms. So an individual who wants to be accelerated, they could complete this 17 college credits in one 16-week semester. We also wanted to align this program to make sure that it's part of their general business associate degree. So all of the courses that they take in the customer service professional certificate is also built into their general degree. And it also aligns with the 2+2 agreements with universities located in Southeast Michigan to obtain a bachelor's degree if the student wants to continue further. But we thought that this would be a great pathway. So if they still want to continue on with their education, they could also find employment with one of our collaborative members as they pursue their education. So there is a link here, and I believe we shared this whole presentation. So there is a link to the full certificate of achievement and all the courses. We also wanted to make sure that there was tuition support resources that were available to students, because we know that as we know, customer service is not a high-paying job, but it is a great pathway into a lot of these companies that has great potential for growth. So we wanted to make sure that we had financial aid eligible. It's also eligible for Michigan, also eligible for Detroit Promise, which is Detroit's high school graduates. We also had it eligible through GI benefits for Veterans Affairs. And then we made sure that it was also approved through Michigan Works as an individual training account. Our future goal, and we are working with Henry Ford College to articulate this also with potentially with the career and technical education programs. They have an office and management program. So we are looking to articulate with that program so that potentially high school students can gain college credit before they leave high school. And then it's a great pathway also for our adult education community programs. So we are working to get that up and operating. We're hoping to target that in 2022, but we're just happy that we've got this ready, piloted, and going. So the next is our continuous improvement. So we have started our pilot. It just started in August, so we are just now tracking these students to see the progression. But we're also developed and working with the collaborative. We want to get more information out there. So we've developed an internal marketing strategy for our employers to educate our HR recruiters and employees. Most importantly, if we're building this, we want to make sure that the collaborative members are sharing this with their HR recruiters so they recognize this as a credential. So we have also established an external marketing, and we're doing a social media campaign right now to get students interested in this program. So we're asking all of our collaborative members, we've just set out a social media campaign for them to put out on their social media platform to let them know that they do support. We've also identified additional funding options in partnership with our U.S. Chamber through the Talent Finance workshop. So that is other resources we're looking at. Some may have heard customized training agreements that are offered through Michigan Works. We also are looking at Meritize Advance, which is it's a program where they are offering the employer would be paying back the tuition of that individual if they hire them. But again, we're still researching that. And then there's the income share agreements where the individual would take out tuition, but they wouldn't have to pay it back until they become employed at a certain wage level. But again, we're still researching all of that to identify if any of those are potential avenues that we want to pursue. And then we're hoping to make a decision in the next few months for potential investment in 2022 with our employers. And again, we're working with our, as I mentioned earlier, just that we're working with our partners to establish talent pipelines through the high schools and adult education programs. And we do have some of our employers already recognizing this as a professional certificate, a preferred credential to their external postings. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Deborah.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, I do want to just kind of re-emphasize some of these bullets here, before we finish it up. That dual enrollment with the high schools, right? We need to build a talent pool for our future. And it's not just trying to attract all of the adults that are right now unemployed or wanting reemployment in another field. We want to start by going into the high schools, and we want to educate our high schoolers to know that customer service, this area of work, can be a career path, not just a job. And many people may look at it just a job. But if they can really achieve the fact of understanding it's a career path, and we show them all the other levels within these various companies, that how you can progress in customer service, and you can go into a number of roles just in the call center itself from a promotionary perspective, and then all of the other areas in the company that touch customer service. So it's become a career path. So if we can now begin doing these dual enrollments, and we're going to focus on some that are near Henry Ford College, but then we're going to also be partnering with the city of Detroit, but we're going to want to see that multiply. So that's what we're trying to really launch in 2022. Secondly, we want to get with the adult education programs. We have people who have already reached out to us who want to partner with us, organizations that say, yes, we want to be a part of this program. We have investors actually from outside the state of Michigan very interested in what this opportunity is. And so they've reached out to us. I'm part of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Talent Finance Network, and this network is phenomenal. It's a great connection point that the U.S. Chamber has provided for many of us to really connect with people who are doing similar work, and they can help us and guide us and coach us. And so we found that to be very favorable for this project. We're offering tuition reimbursement to current employees. So we're offering that internally. If people want to take and change a career path, they may be, let's say, doing something in the field at a very entry level point, and they want to go from the outside to inside. So we've provided that opportunity, and we've now shared that with our collaborative, and they are beginning to work on doing some level of tuition reimbursement also with their companies. And when you're doing such a collaborative and you're dealing with a variety of leaders who have, different pressure points of work activities, we said, how do we keep our executives of this collaborative informed? And so we meet with our core team on a monthly basis, and we make progress, and we have real good tight timelines that tell us what we need to do by when. And then we'll show red. If we show red, we definitely will do a deeper dive and get ourselves out of the red frame, if I may. But for those executives within our DTE company, we meet with them on a monthly basis because I have 3 key vice presidents that we work with to keep them informed. But when it goes to all of the collaborative members, we decided that we're going to meet on a bi-monthly basis. But in between those bi-monthlies, we are also creating a newsletter, and that newsletter is a great collaborative way to keep people informed. It's just a 2-pager. So we just want to say thank you. Thank you for today's opportunity for us to share with you, this really good work that's going on here in Southeastern Michigan. It hopefully does touch some of your work areas. If you need more information, we definitely have our 3 contacts for Deb, Karen, and myself on the last slide, and we would be happy now to answer any questions you may have. So please come off mute, or as Irene noted in the chat, you can place your questions in the chat if you have any. So what an opportunity it was, Deb. I thank you so much for all your help and support with us today, with helping us get the data from a state level. And Karen, I really appreciate your project management skills with this project. It has been just very helpful and fruitful to keep everything on task and moving. So we have a question from Julie Parks. Hi, Julie. Good to see that you're on the call. Thank you. How might we replicate this program at other Michigan community colleges? That's a really good question. We have the template and the framework, right? And so we will talk to you more about that. We want to make sure that our pilot is working successfully. We've kind of worked out any of the gaps that we may have discovered or identified. It's a marketing opportunity because we definitely are going to need people on the west side of the state, in West Michigan or Northern Michigan. So those are conversations we can definitely have in the very near future. But we would use the exact same customer service competency framework, and we would share with the other community colleges what that training is that we've got right now in partnership with Henry Ford College to meet our competency framework need. Next question is, would love to implement in Southwest Michigan. That's Chris. Thank you. All right. We'll have more conversation. Please email me or drop something in the chat with your contact information. Would you consider looking at competency-based apprenticeships for customer service programs? We actually did look at that for a moment when we started this project, but there is a little bit of work that goes into building an apprenticeship. Very familiar with that. We've done that ourselves here at DT Energy. I think there is definitely an opportunity to further investigate what that opportunity would look like. We need to also understand, the various unions that are within the various different companies in this collaborative, but definitely some research that we can do. Oh, very good. All right. Thank you, Irene. We'll be in touch with you. And Chris and Deb. Excellent. So good question, Julie, on the apprenticeship. Definitely another piece of work that we will be looking into.
So I have a quick question. So do you think part of it is that as a result of so much phone time and non-face-to-face time that people have, that's one of the reasons why this has become so needed, that people just don't know how to talk to each other?
I can answer that, or Deb Lyzenga, do you want to start and then I'll add, or Karen?
Well, Deb's.
Oh, she's got okay. She's not connecting. Okay. So I think part of the opportunity here is with that question is the resources, that we bring in. We're looking at people who have certain experience, and that experience, we are hoping that experience touches the need of what each company wants. And so the demand comes in with them knowing how to handle, customers with concerns, right?
Mhm.
And so it's teaching people that you don't absorb it, right? You've got to be able to listen and pick through the emotion of how to solve the problem. And that takes a certain talent, that takes a certain skill, it takes a certain training to help people prepare. So then people know how to work in those type of environments, then they will not quickly want to jump and go somewhere else, right? The other part is that people are possibly moving out of those particular job roles to others is because they're seeing something that might be a little bit more fruitful from a wage perspective. But what we want to do is show them that there is a really great career path within like DT Energy, right? I've been there for 37 years. I started out as a meter reader. Now, I wasn't going to make meter reader as my career path forever, but I knew it was my entry point. And so I think what we have to do is help educate that population. How can we help them, sustain and stay? And then how do we improve that capability of theirs to deal with the environment that they may have within a call center? Did that answer?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there others? Okay. Well, for me, it's been a true joy to join all of you today and to share this information. We are really excited. We can definitely share more information with you if you're interested. I know several of you have provided your email. I appreciate that. More conversation for the west side of Michigan for sure. This is something that we are definitely going to be having on our radar, and really look forward to sharing more if there's interest.
I just want to thank Karen and Deborah and I'm trying to look.
Deb Lyzenga.
Deb Lyzenga, for presenting today. This has really been very, very interesting and so needed. So thank you so much. Very fascinating and interesting program with a lot of potential, certainly.
Well, Irene, we appreciate you being the moderator, and helping us through this morning. Really appreciate that. And we appreciate, the Trends Conference allowing us this opportunity to share information such as this with everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you. Stay dry today.
All right. Thanks. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Nice work, ladies. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm trying to get back to my screen and I cannot see you guys. It's so funny. Let's see here. Wait a minute.
I was having connection issues.
Maybe it was me because it sounded like it faded in and out a few times. I don't know. Irene, did you hear that?
A little bit, but I've had that. I had that with the keynote. I was trying to listen to the keynote and he was really in and out and I was really concerned. I thought, oh my God, how am I going to do this? If I can't even hear him, I'm going to be like, what did they say again? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to copy all of the email addresses. I'm trying to get to the chat.
I took a picture.
Oh, did you take? Okay, good. That's
with my phone because that's what I couldn't figure out either.
Yeah, I was because when I just did it, I was getting pictures. Let me just say copy. Let me try this one more time before we end this session, if we can. Yeah.
And I think
so
the timing is, the 8 weeks, the 8 classes, 8 week, 16 weeks, I think is so important. Because
yeah, go ahead.
She's back. Yay.
She's on camera.
Here
Oh my God.
go. It was sorry guys. It was too funny. I didn't click any buttons. I got out, I got in. So I don't know. I don't think Motown Digital likes my computer system or something. I don't know. But great job. It sounds like you guys were making great connections on the west side of the state. So
oh yeah, Deb. Well, I've already been talking with Julie. We're talking to her about building a stackable credential at Grand Rapids, and then I have a readiness workshop I'm going to be launching at Grand Rapids. So we looked at the apprenticeship too. There's more information there, but since we're being recorded, I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
Well, we do have some good emails. Yeah.
Julie Parks was instrumental in helping us to build the medical assistant apprenticeship, and it wasn't just apprenticeship programs either. that she was willing to build. As long she was the one, I never reference her name directly, but she was actually the one that said to me, Deb, I will build the classes if you can fill the seats consistently. And that was such a clear indicator. It is just of what employers needed to do. So that was way back in 2012, 2015. She was, I'm here, I'll build classes, but you got to tell me what the employers need. So
Absolutely.
Right.
and guess what? We're still saying this today, right?
Yeah. And we have a medical assist program at Muskegon Community College. We're like 40 minutes past on the coast. And I mean, we just keep running it. I mean, and employers right there and Mercy Health, and they just keep on hiring them. We just keep on training them. So we got a couple of people that are in charge of that program that just do a fantastic job. And
they do. I am well aware of that program. And what I particularly like about Muskegon that I always advocate for is its credit bearing. So they can. And I just loved that. And I actually, when I was with West Michigan Works, we would lose some students to some of the training providers because it wasn't credit bearing. So because they wanted to go on and build
right, absolutely.
Degrees.
As you said, I mean, medical assist is great, but sometimes you want to go on to, practical or RN, and so yeah. And then we have the nursing program right there, so that just. Just helps too, but we're always looking for more opportunities. And especially we've really had a lot of conversations about, okay, what do employers need? What's the next, what are some other areas where we can provide education? I mean, I think about heating and cooling and.
Yeah, we home protection plan, another area. But when you look at who our guests were, we had Lansing Community College, Oakland Community College, Grand Rapids Community College, Muskegon Community College. Wow, we were getting those that are really interested in trying to do something as similar as what we're doing at Henry Ford.
Absolutely. And actually a friend of mine, well, she's now an adjunct, but she worked for Meyer, and a few years ago we made we did a pitch to Meyer because for their first line supervisors to have a customer service certificate. And I think maybe one of the problems was, or, one of the issues was that it was, it was 2 years long, or no, it was a year long. It was 16 credits, I think. And so they said, well, we're going to do this in-house, which I still have contacts there, and they're like, no, they still haven't done it in-house, and you have to make a plan, and you can't assume that first line supervisors they've worked here long enough, so let's just move them up. I mean, you have to train people, and customer service is one of those skills too, where you have to be able to disconnect yourself and problem solve instead of just manage, think of it as managing conflict, because that's not an easy thing to do. So,
Deb, I liked your example. I really liked your example of how you started at DTE and, provided that real world experience. I truly believe that customer services is just, we should all go through customer service. I worked at Target at the customer service desk.
Yes.
And, and as a cashier, and you certainly learn a lot of customer service skills there. But did they teach you? No. How much better that would have been had there actually been training involved. I mean, the learning curve definitely would have been shortened.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah.
And then I also think about just in terms of professionalism and politeness and common courtesy and those types of things, that if people had that training at the beginning, then maybe as they moved up, we wouldn't have, I wouldn't have classes where students are saying, can I get my boss into this class? Those types of things, because you do have bosses that still have that attitude that, well, I'm the boss and you're the little, minion, and just not necessarily the attitude or the viewpoint that, I'm just happen to be the coach of the team.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Well,
No, I can't hear Karen.
Website,
Me
the
either.
testimonials. We got hers. You can't?
Oh, no. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear
You're
me?
fading. You're fading in and out.
Sorry about that. No, we asked our collaborative members, they put together testimonial videos. So those that are in leadership roles that started out as customer service, we have videos of them on the Henry Ford College website. So that's another way we've been trying to educate people.
Right. Absolutely.
Very, very cool.
Well, Deb, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I was going to thank all of you, but Irene, thank you particularly. I'm so glad to see someone from the west side of the state. I lived over there for 23 years before transitioning to Lansing and family. I still have my kids over there, but Muskegon is just a wonderful place. And I have just wonderful memories of working with the Muskegon Community College team. So thank you for hosting us and moderating us. And you two are just killing it over there.
Yeah, you are.
Champions. So I just love that too. You just make our job at the state so much easier when we advocate. Hey, employers, come on board and share your skills and competencies.
Right.
Don't be afraid that somebody's going to steal your workforce.
Right.
And you guys give such a wonderful example in all that you do within that energy collaborative, that we use it for other collaboratives. It just makes our job so much easier. So,
Sure. Yeah.
Invest in people.
Invest in people. Yes, so true. That's a capital investment, right? We used to say that years and years ago, the biggest asset for any company is the people. It's not about the building. It's not about it's about the people. Yeah. And if you don't have the people and you don't have them responding, in the skills and addressing our customers in the way that they need to, then we're not going to have, shareholders. We're not going to have, success and progress. So, it's the people.
Yeah, there was a very large company 10 years ago that did a study in Muskegon. I can't say who it is, but they looked at what turnover was costing them. And it was costing them $2.5 million a year. I mean, that's like just pouring $200 million down the drain. So they finally started to create these career paths, from, everybody from the, came in entry level on up. And I'm like, yeah, because if you don't have people, and how much easier is it to, promote somebody from within who's ready, that you've helped to train, then they have to hire somebody at the very beginning, and you just kind of keep on doing that over and over and over again.
I could probably guess that company, but kudos to them that they finally figured it out, right?
And absolutely.
It takes us a minute to learn, and so kudos to them for doing that.
But Muskegon, isn't that God's country over there? I think
it is, yes.
Isn't that kind of like northwest or something? Or it's on Lake Michigan?
On Lake Michigan, just north of Grand Haven and just south of Ludington.
So so I got to go up there with my RV. I got to go check it out and hang out, because I heard that there's a great campsite up in Ludington.
Muskegon is the best kept secret for West Michiganders, though. So the inside knowledge. But Deborah, you're part of the team. You and Karen. we'll include you in on that. But everybody goes to Grand Haven or to Holland. And when it's really, you can enjoy the beaches of Muskegon and not that crowded people everywhere.
And Pierre Marquette, they have worked on Pierre Marquette Park so much, and that beach is beautiful, more beautiful than Grand Haven. But watch Muskegon. It's like, watch us go. It's our slogan. And if you go downtown, downtown is getting beautiful. So much is going there.
See, now you got me reminiscing.
I gotta go. I gotta put that on my bucket list.
Absolutely.
Love you guys. Yeah, just thanks so much for all the work you put into this.
Yes.
Thank you again, Irene. It was great to meet you.
Great to meet you too. I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.